Okay, calm down.
Were you ever considering running as a Democrat, kind of an outsider within the party? And if not, what were your considerations when you decided?
No, I could not ever personally run for a candidate in the Democratic Party. I could support my dear brother Bernie, and I love that brother forever. But that's his choice. I would support, Nina and others in the Democratic Party. But no, that's like asking a jazz man to play in the military band. I got to bring my flat notes. I got to bring my freedom. I got to bring my improvisation. I need some swing in the band. And it's just not going to work for me to bring my saxophone and have to just play those militaristic chords over and over and over again. The Democratic Party is just too tight, dominated by the corporate wing. I don't think the progressive wing will ever be hegemonic. They're never going to be allowed to win. They're window dressing of a corporate party for the most part. And you and I know there's some decent people in the Democratic Party, and God bless them and be with them. But they're never going to be able to go too far. And we saw that with Brother Bernie. He was just treated so unjustly, so wrongly, and I just hated the fact that he was treated that way. He's just such a decent brother in so many ways. But he decides now, he's going with Biden. He's going with the Democratic Party. But still got his heart in many ways tied to working class people. We love that about it. But we have deep disagreements in terms of the capacity now of the two-party system to actually speak to the needs of poor and working people, let alone the militarism that the Democratic Party is tied to with the various adventurous activities abroad. I mean, look at that debt ceiling agreement. Isn't that something? Pull
Right, which
back
was
from the poor and
hailed as a
expand
victory.
military. Exactly. Right. You can make a deal with Manchin for the pipes with ecological collapse taking place, working class and poor communities being devastated, and yet you can't make a deal with him on the filibuster to make sure voting rights are reinforced for black voters and others. I mean, it just shows that Brother Joe Biden, he's just so tied to the corporate power. He's just so tied to the wealthy elites that it's an afterthought when it comes to poor and working people. It's a sad thing.
I'm going to ask you more about your run, but I'm curious, backing up a little bit, you were a supporter of Barack Obama and, of course, at that time, his running mate, Joe Biden, and then you became a critic of Barack Obama. So what changed? Was it seeing what he did, or did your own politics change, or was it a combination?
Well, to tell you the truth, I've tried to have a consistency since we shut down the high school system in 1968 when Martin Luther King Jr. was shot down like a dog, and Bobby Hutton was shot down 2 days later by the Oakland police. And that was always, how do you keep alive the struggle for poor and working people? So when Barack Obama called me up and he gave the speech, talking about he believes America is a magical place. And I went on TV and said that this brother's going to have a Christopher Columbus experience and discovers nothing magical about America. That in fact, there's people here, there's suffering people, there's structures of domination here. So he called me up, we had a long talk. And I told him, I said, look, I'm trying to keep alive the legacy of Fannie Lou Hamer, Martin King, Rabbi Heschel, Edward Said, Chief Joseph, Muriel Rukeyser. We can go on and on. Those are the ones that inform me. Luisa Marino, one of the greatest freedom fighter, Latina sister who was deported from California, went to Guatemala to the United States, overthrew a democratic regime in Guatemala. Then she had to go all the way to Brazil. Well, from that tradition, I had told Barack, I said, I will be your critical supporter. I'll do all I can to push you across the line. And when you win, I will break dance for about 10 minutes and be your major critic. And I was true to my word. And he knew I said that. And I said it twice, because I did it twice. Why? Because I wanted to make sure he pushed aside the right winger. But I just felt, and it was thoroughly confirmed, too close to Wall Street, bails out Wall Street rather than homeowners. Expansion of the surveillance state. War crimes with drones being dropped on precious brothers and sisters in Pakistan, Libya, Somalia, and so forth. No talk about mass incarceration. at all. No talk about poverty. Brother Tabitha Smiley and I went on 2 poverty tours and got, they tried to crush us and push us over the edge and so forth. How can you be critical of the president? He's talking about the middle class. That's the best he can do because of the constraints.
Yeah.
No, we got to be free. You start with the 40% of black children in poverty. You start with the 29% of all children in poverty. You start with poor people no matter what age, and then move to working people, support the trade unions, living wages, and so forth. You protect the precious trans, precious gays and lesbians and so forth. It took him a while to even do that. Man,
Right.
Biden was ahead of him on that
Right,
issue.
exactly.
We give Brother Joe credit in that sense. So that from the very beginning, I tried to be consistent. And that's why, again, I've always felt that, unfortunately, the corporate wing of the Democratic Party is the wing.
Hmm.
And there'll never be a way of speaking to the issues of militarism abroad or poverty and working people at home and substantive support of trade unions. We're going to see that this summer. We already saw with Biden with the railroad strike, but we're going to see it this summer with UPS. We're going to see it this summer with the Teamsters as they bring serious power and pressure to bear on the bosses. And the Democratic Party is just found wanting in that regard. And we, the neo-fascism of the Republicans, we just have no expectations there. They're very dangerous indeed, but you never defeat fascism with milquetoast neoliberal centrism. Never. You got to get at the roots. You need vision. You need passion. You need people on the move. You need movements to push back fascism. You can never, ever have caretaker neoliberal government saying we are pushing back fascism. No, fascism is on the move. It's just a matter of time. You have to have an alternative vision. That's why I'm going straight into Trump country. I want to talk to those vanilla brothers and sisters. I want to tell them, I know you're hurting. I identify with that need to overcome that pain. I know you're not being treated justly by the system. I understand that. Now let's not scapegoat the most vulnerable. Let's confront the most powerful together.
Right.
And that's, again, that's just what Martin King was talking about. That's what all of the great figures concerned about, bringing people together in terms of solidarity against the powers that be.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that would always frustrate me during the 2016 and 2020 when people would compare Trump and Bernie and say they're the same opposite sides of the same coin because they were both speaking to people's pain. But one of them was saying, I know you're hurting, blame Mexicans and Muslims. And the other one was saying, I know you're hurting, don't blame Mexicans and Muslims, blame the people who are actually responsible for your hurting.
That's
which is
exactly right.
A huge difference. Yeah.
And then the right-wing populism ends up reinforcing the militarism, reinforcing corporate power, reinforcing predatory capitalist processes that are unregulated, because Trump and others are as tied to those as anybody else. But they're out there speaking to that pain. And it's sad that the Democratic Party, it's sad that Brother Biden and the others don't take that pain and suffering seriously. They're just so tied into the military industrial complex. They're tied into the war profiteers, and they're tied into Wall Street and Silicon Valley. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. We have to call it for what it is, tell the truth, and keep organizing and working alongside the folk who are being shafted.